Lie back now and let yourself grow heavy and warm. The day is finished, and it asked a great deal of you, and now it is done. Let this quiet story settle over you like dusk settling over a garden, slow and soft and dimming, until you have drifted all the way down into sleep. You do not need to hold on to a single word. Let them fall where they will. There is a garden at the turning of the world, and it is the largest and the most beautiful garden there has ever been. It is always evening there, a long, warm, golden evening, and the air is full of the smell of green things growing. And all through it, from one far hedge to the other, there grow small lights. They are not lamps, and they are not stars. They are something like flowers and something like little flames, each one rooted in the dark soil and glowing soft and warm at the top of its slender stem. And each one is a life. Every life that has ever been or is or will be grows here, somewhere in the great garden, as a small and living light. And there is a gardener who tends them. She moves through the garden in the golden evening, slow and unhurried, with her sleeves rolled up and the good dark earth on her hands. And she does the work that gardeners do. She waters the new shoots. She loosens the soil around the roots. She turns a leaning stem gently toward the light. She has tended this garden for longer than there have been seasons to count, and she loves it, every corner of it, every single small light in it, with the steady, patient love of someone who has given their whole life to growing things. Now, here is the thing about a garden, the thing that everyone who has ever kept one comes to understand. A garden is not a still place. It is always turning. Every light in it has its season. It begins as a seed in the dark, and then a green shoot, tender and new. It grows, it rises, it comes in its own time to its full and glorious bloom, burning bright and warm at the height of its summer. And then, as all things in a garden do, in its own time, it begins to fade. The light softens, the stem bows, the glow that burns so bright grows gentle and gentler, and at the last it sinks back down, quietly, into the dark and waiting soil from which it came. And people are afraid of that. Of course they are. When they see their own small light, or the light of someone they love, begin to soften and to bow, they are filled with fear, and they come to the gardener and they beg her. Keep it burning, they say. Keep it just as it is, at its brightest. Do not let it fade. Surely, of all the things in this garden, you could keep just this one flower from ever wilting. And the gardener is gentle with them, because she understands. But she tells them the truth, because that is the only kindness that lasts. A flower that never faded would not be a flower at all. She tells them, I could, if you truly wished it, lift one light out of the turning. I could set it under a glass at the height of its bloom and stop it there. But understand what that would mean. It would no longer grow, because growing is change, and I would stop the change. It would no longer feel the evening, or drink the rain, or lean toward the warmth. It would not be living. It would only be a bright thing, held still forever in a glass case, apart from the garden and apart from the living. That is not a gift. That is the one cruelty this garden does not contain. The beauty of the light, she tells them, is in the whole of its season, in the rising and the blooming, and yes, in the fading too. The fading is not a mistake that crept into the garden. It is part of the design. It is the flower completing itself, the way a sentence completes itself with its final word. Anyone who has tended the dying knows the temptation she is speaking of. temptation to see the fading as the enemy, as a failure, as the thing that was never supposed to happen, that you must fight with everything you have. But there is another way to see it, and it is a truer one, and it is the way the gardener sees, as the autumn of a life, as a season completing, and not a battle lost. And there is a deep and steadying peace in that way of seeing, for the one whose light is fading, and for all the ones who love them and tend them as it does. And there is one more thing the gardener tells them, the gentlest thing of all, and it is this: nothing in the garden is ever wasted. When a light sinks back down into the soil, it does not vanish. It does not become nothing. It returns to the earth, and the earth takes it in and holds it and is made richer by it. And every new seed that is planted, every green shoot that rises after, grows up out of soil that is made of all the lights that came before. The whole garden, in all its glory, is rooted in those who have already bloomed and faded. Nothing is lost. Everything returns and feeds what comes next and goes on growing in a different shape forever. A light that fades does not leave the garden. It becomes the garden. So when the gardener tends a fading light, she does not grieve over it as a thing going wrong. She tends it with all the love she has through every day of its long autumn, and she keeps it company as it softens, and she does not try to stop the turning. And when at last it sinks down into the soil, she does not see an ending. She sees a flower that has completed its whole season, beginning to end, and has gone now to feed the ones still rising. To fade was not to fail, it was to finish. And to finish well, in its own good time, having been fully and truly alive for the whole length of its season, is the most that any light could ever ask. And so the great garden goes on in its long golden evening, always turning, always rising and blooming and fading and returning, fuller and richer and more beautiful with every life that has ever been part of it. And the gardener walks among the small lights with the earth on her hands, tending each one through its season, loving every one and grieving for none, because she knows the secret that the garden was made to teach, that fading is not the opposite of living, it is part of it, and that nothing here, not one small light, is ever truly lost. And one day, a long way off, when your own light begins to soften and to bow, you will not have to be afraid of it. You will only be a flower, coming at last to the close of a long and lovely season, sinking gently back down into the warm, dark earth that has held every light there ever was. You will not be ending, you will be finishing, and then you will be the soil and the rain and the warmth that the next bright bloom rises up to meet. But that is the work of years and years, and it is not for tonight. Tonight, your own small light is burning soft and steady and whole, in no hurry at all, in the warm dark of a summer evening that is in no rush to end. There is nothing for you to do but glow gently and rest. So let the great garden grow dim and golden and far away. Let all the small lights blur together into one warm evening glow at the edge of your mind. You are part of it, and it is in no hurry, and you are exactly where you are meant to be. Close your eyes. Let the evening come and rest.